Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for joining me for this continuing discussion on the Quran in dialogue with other faiths and scriptures. Today, I want to look at why the faithful fast. What good does it do that people deprive themselves of food and drink from morning till evening? Does it have any spiritual benefits for the person who is observing the fast? Now, of course, there are medical and health benefits. People may fast for a variety of reasons, to lose weight or to, just regiment their eating so that they achieve better health. But what about spiritual health? Does fasting help in any of this? Well, let's look at what the scriptures tell us about that. I want to look at the Quran, starting for starters, and then we'll look at the Bible. In the Quran, we read in Surah 2, verse 183, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek refuge in God from Satan, the rejected one. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O believers, fasting is prescribed for you as it was for those before you. So perhaps you will become mindful of God. So this idea of becoming mindful of God seems to be, according to this verse, the explicit reason for fasting being prescribed upon us. That by fasting, perhaps we'll become mindful of God. So that seems to be the goal, that while we're fasting, we become more mindful of God. So it does actually transform us. In what way do Muslim believers become more mindful of God when they're fasting? Well, first of all, to prepare for the fast, you're going to get up early in the morning, you're going to have your morning meal. So you're already in the mood, you're thinking, I'm going to spend the rest of this day fasting. In fact, may I even say that from the night before, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go to bed as early as possible so that I can get up in due time to have the morning meal in preparation for the fast. Now, during the day, naturally, like all human beings, you're going to feel thirsty, you're going to feel hungry, and you're going to avoid eating or drinking only because you know that you're doing this for the sake of God. So you're always conscious about God. It may be that you forget for a moment, especially in the first few days of the fast, that you're actually fasting because you're habituated to eating and drinking. You may actually take something without thinking. Then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I was fasting. I should be fasting. And in that case, the Islamic rule is that your fast is still valid because what you ate or drank, that was without intention. You didn't intend to break your fast, and this is excusable. And in fact, it is even mentioned in a hadith that it is God who fed you or gave you something to drink. So your fast is still valid, and you get this bonus of eating or drinking something during the day. Nonetheless, when you go through this rigid exercise by fasting 1 day, 2 days, eventually, you feel that you have better control of your desires because you're not allowed to eat or drink during the fast, and you're avoiding that. Even though there is a call from within, you're still overcoming your inner desire to eat or drink or to engage in intimate relations. And so you get better control of your own desires. You become masters. You become a master of your own willpower. You train yourself to work for you and not against you. So yes, you develop that first, the mastery over your own self, and second, a very close relationship with God. Perhaps this is why, in the midst of all of the verses that deal with fasting in the Quran, after this 183rd verse of the second chapter, we come to the 186th verse where it says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my servants ask you about me, I am near. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I answer the call of the one who is supplicating me whenever that person calls out. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. So let them respond to me and believe in me so that they may be rightly guided. So we can see a close relationship between the fasting on the one hand and nearness to God on the other hand, and the acceptance of our prayer. So that's the Quranic perspective. I want to turn now to see how prophets and other great figures of the Old Testament and the New Testament observe fasting and think about some of the reasons behind those practices. Okay, so looking at the Bible, we go to an Old Testament passage, which is basically in the Bible of the Jews, and it's part of now the Christian Bible. Exodus chapter 34, Moses meets with God. God gives him laws, especially the 10 Commandments, and he's to write these down. In verse number 27, the Lord said to Moses, "Write these words. In accordance with these words, I have made a covenant with you and with Israel." He was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He neither ate bread nor drank water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. Moses fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Now, of course, can the physical body of a human being endure that much of abstinence from food and drink? If he did, then we'd have to say, okay, this is by God's help and protection. This is a miracle from God. But what is more likely is that he was able to eat some things or drink some things, and God knows the precise parameters of the fast that was observed by Moses. But fasting 40 days and 40 nights, this is well known. And it is also well known from the New Testament. It is said in both the Gospels of Matthew and of Luke that Jesus was in the wilderness being tempted by the devil, and he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. And according to Luke's Gospel, chapter 2, verse number 4, Jesus was in the end hungry. What is interesting is that his disciples in his time were not fasting, probably because Jesus was moving around a lot on missionary journeys. And so his disciples moving along with him needed to eat or drink in order to have stamina for these missionary activities. And that is similar to the Muslim idea of fasting, that while you're fasting, if you happen to be on a journey, then you're excused from fasting during that time because God wants ease for his servants, not difficulty. Yes, fasting is a rigorous exercise, but it is there and meant for those who are hale and healthy, young and strong, and stable at home, not faced with inconveniences that come as a result of traveling. Okay, let's go to Luke's Gospel, chapter 5, in which we find that the Jewish interlocutors of Jesus are complaining, like they want to know why the disciples of Jesus are not fasting. So they said to him, John's disciples, I'm reading from verse number 33 now, John's disciples, like the disciples of the Pharisees, frequently fast and pray, but your disciples eat and drink. Jesus said to them, "You cannot make wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them, can you? The days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them, and then they will fast in those days." So that means that after Jesus is taken away from the earthly scene, his disciples are expected to fast in his absence. And so he has given instructions to them. When you fast, you should oil your hair and wash your face so that you don't look miserable in the face of people, so that people will pity you because you're fasting. Because after all, you're doing it not for them, you're doing it for the sake of God. And that reminds us of what the Quran says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may be mindful of God. You're not doing it to please the people, you're doing it for the pleasure of God. And so you develop that closeness with God. In fact, fasting is not something you can really do to please the people because nobody but you and God know if you are really fasting, and you know that. One could be, behind closed doors. It's between you and God that you are still fasting. How does this play out in modern times? Okay, you're working, so some people may be in very difficult jobs. The Muslim scholars say that in that, if your job makes it too prohibitive for you to fast, really impractical, then you can fast an equal number of other days, or you can give a charity instead. The Quran even says, as for those who are sick or on a journey, they should pay a fidya, which is in lieu of the fast. It's a kind of a compensation, monetary value that you give. You can give it in the form of wheat or grain, foodstuffs, but you can also give a monetary equivalent. So roughly the cost of one meal. We can simplify it that way for each day of the fast. But if you fast, this is better. If not on the actual day themselves, let's say somebody's working in front of a pizza oven all day and it'll be too dehydrating for them to fast, then, they can, instead of fasting that day, they can fast on a day off or just simply in the end pay the charity. Somebody's too sick, too old, too weak, pregnant mothers, breastfeeding mothers could all take advantage of this, what we call in Arabic a rukhsa or permission to either fast later or to give the fidya. If one is sick and one expects to get better, one waits to fast later. If one does not expect to get better, better enough to fast, well enough to fast then, one would give the fidya or the compensation instead. So you see, it's very practical. Our Jewish friends, the rabbis among them also try to give leniency to their people. And in Judaism, there are two popularly known days of fasting. One is the Yom Kippur day, when people will seek forgiveness for all of their sins for the whole year. It's a 25-hour fast from sunset to sunset, adding half an hour each time at the beginning and the end. So adding an hour in total to make it 25 instead of the 24 hours. The other fast is Tisha B'Av. It's a fast on the 9th day of the month of Av in the Jewish calendar, and that is to commemorate, or rather to mourn, the fact that the temple had been destroyed twice. Now, it is interesting that most recently this Tisha B'Av, the Tisha B'Av fast, fell in August of 2025, and the rabbinate of the IDF, the military, ruled that the soldiers who are in operations should not fast. Why? Because this, they have to have energy to complete their operations, and if they fast, this could endanger their lives. Now, it is ironic because at the same time, they were taking many lives of the people of Gaza. So if we're talking about the protection of lives, then we should have been saying, okay, do not go on these operations to continue to kill, especially women and children. Nonetheless, on the subject of fasting, lest we digress, among the world's great religions, fasting has been a known phenomenon. We didn't mention Hinduism. It's also there in Hinduism, but it's considered voluntary and left up to the faithful. In Buddhism, there is a sort of fast where some monks will eat at about 11 o'clock, and that's their only meal for the day. So they're fasting basically the rest of the day. Some of the faithful also may practice a fast, which would entail that they eat at about midday, and then after that, they don't eat anything until the following day. So like the rest of the day and during the night. So we see that fasting has a lot of benefits. How does it help the faithful? It helped the faithful by fortifying that faith. Rather than feasting all of the time, which is a natural human inclination, similar to what animals do, human beings have conscience, they have a mind, they can practice mind over matter, and they can decide, what, I don't have to eat if I don't want to. I can practice abstinence, I can be moderate in my consumption, and I'm going to fast for that period of time, and nothing is going to make me eat during that period of time, not even my inner desires, because I have control over my inner desires. And so fasting helps us. It helps us to focus. Even Pythagoras and Plato thought that fasting will help you to focus, to be very mindful, and so on. So they thought that there are certain benefits from fasting. Let us capitalize on all of these benefits. What does it mean for us today as Muslims are fasting during the month of Ramadan? Let us continue to let the fast fortify our faith, and let us not feast too much at night. Let us realize that while God has permitted us to eat at night, we should still eat in a moderate way. And soon enough, the Eid will come at the end of the month. And some people think that that's a day for feasting. But let us not call it feasting. Let us still think about eating and drinking moderately and in a healthy manner. So thank you for joining me for this continuing discussion on the Quran in dialogue with other faiths. And tomorrow, join me again. I'll talk with you about how charity changes us. What does charity do for us? Okay? speak with you tomorrow. In the meantime, peace be with you and the mercy and blessings of God.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.